All right, so this is just going to be a very quick, rudimentary, but to the point screencast on making a logo in Illustrator. I'm just going to stick with the basics, give you the simple part of it, go as complicated as you like. First thing you want to do is go to File, right? Just like in any program, and click New. Doing so, we're going to want to rename. I'm going to call this Dean's Logo. But don't hit Enter right away, because what you want to do is look at the rest of the stuff. I only want one artboard, right? So I only want one logo at the moment. You can change the width and height. I think it's pretty standard that you do 500 for a logo. It's up to you. Not a big deal either way. I do think that this is something that matters if you'd like, whether we're going to go web or print. Let's just stick with the RGB for now. And then I did change the raster effect to be 300. If you don't have this option, it might be that you have to expand this little arrow here under Advanced. Okay? Once you hit OK, it's going to be quite obvious where everything is, right? Like, so this is our design space within this black square. Now, should you want to kind of resize this, maybe it's too big, or maybe you want to go more rectangular, all you have to do is come over here into this Properties panel, which I'm sure you've seen before, which you can expand here with this little arrow. This is very similar to Photoshop. You can just go ahead and cruise around, and you see this one that looks like a tic-tac-toe board. When you select that, notice that it turns everything into like this checkered anchor point, right? So now what you have is the ability to make this either shorter, taller, skinny, longer, big, whatever you want. I'm going to keep it as is, so I'm just going to click my arrow and return. Now, if you think about the basics that is a logo, it's nothing more than text, shape, pictures, all of that. So I'm just going to go over those kind of features. The first one here is going to be a shape. So I'm just going to pick you can right click on all of these. Anything with that little kind of arrow in the bottom right is a right click. I'm going to pick a rectangle here. And the moment that you have it selected, you just draw whatever size that you want and go from there. It's going to be weird if you want to move it, that it's going to have this, it's going to keep drawing things or have a weird pop-up box. So if you want to move it after you draw it, just keep making sure you go back to that arrow at the top, which makes it a little bit better. Now that I have it selected, you can see the properties at the top there align to the rectangle, because you see in the top left it says rectangle. And this first box here is color, right? So I can change the fill of this to anything that I want, and I can change the stroke to anything I want as well. I'm going to keep it black for now. Ooh, geez, that's purple. That's weird. So black. And then once I do that, I can actually up the stroke if I want, just by using these numbers along the way. And it's a harmless software, right? So if you don't know what something does, just feel free to click on it and use our most favorite Control-Z if you don't like it. So here I'm going to put my stroke up to about 3 or 4. This next one here is called Uniform. That is, if you can see, my stroke is all the way around, same thickness in every corner, every side. But I can change that, right? So I can change it to look a little bit kind of fisheye. If I don't want that, I got this other one here where it makes it more rounded and it doesn't put anything down there. So those are options that you have. The next one here is called Basic. Well, Basic is that, just a line. But if you want to do a little bit more artsy, maybe, something like that, you can. I'm not going to. Just keep it basic, but it's there for you. Apparently, it resets everything, so don't do that. Make a decision beforehand. And then there you go. The rest of this stuff is not too terribly crazy, but there's an opacity. Now, the opacity is not just for the fill, it's for the shape as a whole. So if I messed with this, lowered it, say, down to 23, you see the whole thing fades, not just the fill. And you can add a style to it. I've never done it. If you want to, you can. It's up to you. It's your design. And then you can recolor it and all that. But the rest of this is just size. But this is your basics, right? So when you're doing a logo, you got a shape, you got an outline. Now, one thing is that's really neat that you can do with these triangles, rectangles, is that maybe I want to do a rounded corner now. So when I did my shape, I did have that option, you see, rounded rectangle. But I want to change it now. So instead of starting from scratch, I can just grab these little circles in. You see it? And in doing so, I can just grab them, and I'll do it really extreme at first. You can see that. But I just want to kind of keep it a little bit like that. I can move that all any which way that I want. See? So that's a cool thing that you can do. So that's doing shapes, right? So I can also do shapes with the circle. Now the cool thing with the circle is I can just draw as I did here, and if you can see my line, it's just any shape that I want. I can make an oval, and that's why I call it the elliptical. But if I hold in shift, you can see that it keeps it a perfect circle. That's one way to keep it a perfect circle, just by holding in shift. Then I can come up here, like on this one I don't want a stroke, so I can click none. Then I can just click a different fill color maybe. I'll do like an orange. Let me move that around. I'll put that over here maybe. And then Command CV, so same thing. If I want to duplicate it, I can make it smaller. Again, change the color really quick. Just come up here and grab one that I want to see. Maybe I want to put the alpha down on this one. So I can do this, lower it, 65, and just move that around there. See? So that's circles, that's shapes. You can do pretty much anything you want with it. Another popular thing when it comes to logos, and what Illustrator is really good at, is I can grab this pen tool here, right? I'm a big pen tool fan. I like it. It takes some getting used to, but once you get it, it's cool. You select it, and what it's going to do is create a shape. So if you know the color that you want already, so let's see, so I'm up here, maybe I want to do a very yellow one. I'm just going to click on this yellow one here. And now when I start drawing, it's going to create a shape with the fill of yellow and no stroke, as you can see. So I'm going to do like a swoosh looking thing, right? Because that's kind of a difficult thing. So I click here. The moment I click, I get the thing called an anchor. Now all I have to do is extend my pen to wherever, say, size and width that I want. But when I click, I don't let go. I hold in. Now when I move it around, you can see that all of this happens. And what's going to happen is your next anchor point, the expectation it's going to be in the direction of that handlebar. So you can see where my black triangle is. What it's going to do is kind of come down here and be in that area. So I'm going to click, and now I'm just going to see how it's kind of anchoring to that. Now I'm going to click and do this, and I got a little bit of a swoosh. Now I want to go back and close this shape out, but I want some nice crisp points. If I just go to the other direction, you see how weird that is? See how it's kind of adding a little something to it? I don't want to do that. So to create a point, you just want to click on another anchor and then just begin the process again. So I'll go like this, and then to close out the shape, I'll just click on the anchor again. And there you go. So now I have this neat little shape that still has these handles now when I have it selected. So what's really neat is I can grab this, say I wanted to reshape it a little bit, it's still not done. I can really just go in there and continue to perfect it how I want. So there's that. And then I think, I'm not entirely sure, but I remember if I have this selected, I can also come up here, and then underneath the pen tool there is the curvature tool. When I click on that, you see what happened? It gave kind of some more anchor points, just like when you did the rounded corner up here. Now I can have all these anchor points where I can do other things to it as well. Entirely up to you if you want to continue to mess with it. I'm actually okay with how that looks. Now I'll make a couple of these. I'm going to plop them up here. You can resize it. Yeah, we've done that a million times in every software that we've ever had. Again, I can recolor that. And you can see here what happened was I wanted maybe this orange one to be on top. So as I created all these things, I really hadn't had to deal with much. But over here in my little window panels, just expand it a little bit so you can see it more. I have all these options. Yours might not be expanded right away, so yours might look like that. What you're going to want to do is click on that top double arrows, and it'll expand this. And a lot of this stuff is going to be specific to whatever you're working on. As you can see when I do this, things are changing over there. But what I want to do is kind of mess with the arrangement, right? So you know Photoshop had layers. Well, so does Illustrator. So you can see way down here at the bottom it says layers. And there's only one, although I have all of these objects. So what I'm going to do is click on that little triangle there, and you can expand and see there's everything that I made. And I can click. So on this circle, the moment that I click on that circle, if you come back here, you see there's that blue square. That indicates that it's an active one. So this is what you're going to be doing to stuff. So if I want this orange one to be on top, I just have to select it. I see that that's the blue one, then I can just drag it on top of its buddy, just like you would do in Photoshop and all that stuff. Okay? So that's how you mess around with the layers a little bit. I know this is pretty ugly logo, but just bear with me here. So that's that. Other things, you can draw a line. The line, you have to make sure, if I was going to put a line on here right now, say do something like this, you have to make sure that you have a stroke selected. So if I were to do this right now, it wouldn't do anything. But the moment I hit that stroke, you can see that that line is now a purple line. And when I click on it, I still have the same things. I can do that whole uniform thing. I can make it artsy again, or whatever the heck you want to do. But that's that. So there is just a terrible start to a logo, but we're on the right track. So we have shapes and all that. Other things that you can do is like add little effects to this. So say this little shape right here. I can go up into the effects here, see that? And it gives me options. I can make it 3D, they call it extrude and bevel and rotate. And some of these things are just bizarre. So I'm going to do this extrude and bevel. And it brings up this panel here, bring it on over. And you can just start messing with things. But when you do mess with things, what you want to do, just so you can see what it looks like, is down in the bottom left is going to be this preview. So when I click on that, you see how I can now see what it's going to look like versus guessing. If I uncheck that. So that's what it's going to look like. You can mess with all of these things, and it's going to change to however you want to do it. It's entirely up to you. But the idea is you just mess around with that and you hit OK, and then there's that. So say now I want to do something to this yellow one that is not these kind of shape, but more of an effect. I can open up the effect gallery here. And what it does is it puts an instance of my shape here on the left, and I can pick any one of these buggers over here. And it does stuff to it. I mean, it's not the best for shapes. If you have like a picture or something, it's a lot better. But for now, I'm just going to pick that, just to show you can do some neat little things with it, okay? But now, I'll tell you what, I don't like it, right? So what I can do is select it, and then if I go over into my windows over here again, so what I don't like about it is how it looks, so its appearance. So if you think of that, you come over here into your panel and you see this appearance tab, and I click on that, it's showing me all of the stuff and things that is going on to this shape, right? It's showing me that there's no stroke, it's showing me the opacity is this, that, and everything. But here's that weird extrude and bevel. Is that the one that I did? If I don't like it, all I have to do is select it and then hit this little delete, and it sends it right back to normal. And then, of course, that's the same with anything that you do. So any effect that you might apply or any stroke or anything that you don't like, you can just quickly click on the item, head on over to your appearance, and then you're good to go. Yeah? Great. So next thing is text, right? So a lot of the times what we do in these texts is anything. So I'm going to take a circle again, and I'm going to do maybe I'll do an oval this time. And I'm going to do that because maybe I want my text to kind of wrap around this, or I want it to take the curvature of a circle. So I'll do that. And now what I have to do is go to my text. So you know the T, just like in Photoshop and the other ones, is the text. When I click on that, your goal here is this Type on a Path tool. When I click that Type on a Path tool, I can just click on anything and see how it made the shape go away, but it gave me this path now. And now when I go to type, it just goes along that path. So that's something neat you can do. And then when I click on it, my little arrow, just like, now I can rotate it. I can do just about anything with it. It is text, right? So if I don't want black, I can just highlight it, come up here and make it a little bit bigger. Maybe I can bold it, change my font to something a little bit more fancier if I want, or not. What's this? So that looks like that. I can also change the color, so you can see that my properties panel now says characters. Before it said rectangle. So now anything that I do in this particular area is going to reflect directly on that. So I can change it to say yellow, and we're good. All right, so that's what that looks like now. Again, terribly ugly logo so far, but you get the point. I can move that around and do just about anything I want with it. You can also do that if you wanted. So if I wanted to take this pen tool, say I wanted to match this flow, I can just click my pen tool and make a little anchor and hit that. Oh, geez, one sec. I don't want to do that. What you want to make sure you're doing when you do that is no fill, but a nice stroke of, say, black. Oh, changing my stuff. Once you click on the pen, you want to make sure that there's no fill and a black stroke. So now when I do my pen tool, you can see that I have that going on. And I just hit escape. You could also come up here and hit this arrow. And now you see I have this little line that's nice curvature. I can go back into text. I can do this type on path, and off I go. Use series. So there you go. Now that's the same thing. I can change the color of that. I can do just as much to that as if it were normal text. So that's that. There is one more thing I'd like to show you, just because it's kind of popular, right? Is kind of doing a clipping mask. So to put a picture on here, if you wanted to do that, all you have to do is go to File, and the easiest thing here is to pick Place. So when I pick Place, you can see my dialog box opens. That you just pick anything, right? So I have a ton of stuff on here. Goodness gracious, I don't know what to pick. That's weird. That's weird. So obviously you don't want to do like what I'm doing. You want to have an image in mind, so this one's okay. And then it moves around, so it's just waiting for me to place it. It's absolutely ginormous. So I'm going to make it smaller just by grabbing the corner. And I'm holding shift when I do this to keep the aspect ratio of it. And this seems like it's going to take a while, but bear with me. Whoa. My golly. Quite a high-res picture. There's 9 easier ways to do this. I didn't do any of them, so if you want to do it this silly way, you can. But you can also, as you can imagine, just mess with your height and width up there at the top. So now that I have this picture annoyingly censored where I want it, I realize that it's kind of locked up in my layer. If you want to do a clipping mask, you want that to be on a separate layer. So all I'm going to do now is right-click. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do a Command X and a cut from that. I'm going to change that layer now to Logo Shapes. And I'm just going to add a new layer by clicking on the bottom down here, Create New Layer. See it says Layer 2. I'm just going to call that Mask. And I'll just paste it now. And you can see that because I had that layer highlighted, it went ahead and put it in there. So we're okay there. And what I'd like to do is rasterize that, but I don't think I have to do that just yet. So now I have a picture on here. And the most famous way to go about this is just by taking some text. And what I'm going to say, I'll do a seminar. So I'll do seminar. Now I have text. I can do whatever I want to this text, right? So we know that. I'll do something that's a little bit more condensed, so this works out a little bit better. Do this impact. I'll make it a little bit bigger, say about 24. Bold. I'm going to make that a lot bigger, actually. So 48. So now I have this here, this text. I can even move it around like that. You don't technically need to use all those things. And I want to make sure my text is on top and then my picture's on the bottom. So what I should be able to do now is select both of these. So I have my text selected. Oh, there we go. So I have my text selected and then my picture selected. And if I go up to Object, I can go to Clipping Mask and then click Make. And the moment that I do that, you see because the text was on top, it put that picture behind. So now it filled my text with that picture. Now I can just move this around and it'll do whatever I want. And that's, I would say, pretty much the gist. You got shapes, you got lines, you got circles, you got pictures, you know how to do that. You can do a clipping mask, make sure you do that in a layer. And that should get you a nice little logo. So I hope you enjoyed it and have fun with it.